Yeah.
There's only seats on one
Yeah,
side.
one side.
So I'm over on the other side.
Hello there once again and welcome to The Verdict. Mick Cornett and Kent Myers here every week meeting interesting people and dealing with topical issues. And here's an issue we haven't had to deal with before.
We have not. We have not. We today are really thrilled to have David Thomas, a magician, illusionist, on with us today to show us a few things, talk to us about what he does. We will not ask him to divulge any secrets of his tricks. But we're pleased. He lives here in Oklahoma City, and we want our viewers both in Oklahoma City and Tulsa to get acquainted with him.
And if he doesn't make us disappear, we'll be right back.
There's been some camera guys paying him money to try to get us to disappear, so don't count on it.
David Thomas, today's guest on The Verdict. We'll be right back.
I grew up in a tough neighborhood. There was a lot of drugs and a lot of violence. Really, for me to get away was to focus on artwork. It was a way for me to really cleanse myself so I can deal with all the problems that was going on in school and at home. It kept me from crossing that line.
Our goal is to make sure that the arts are available to all, that our community is awakened by the arts, that our community is touched by the arts.
It's not an organization that's focused on one thing. They're focused on the arts across the board.
Chesapeake knows that in order to have a full and complete community, we have to have a strong arts component.
Now you have people that understand how important that is, and they're really getting involved. It really changes lives, and it changes families. You know, eventually it's going to change generations.
Wilsey, Meyer, Eatman, Tate. We're accountants. We do taxes, business valuations, estate planning, and consulting. And we're right here in Oklahoma, working with the owners of small and medium-sized businesses. Steve Wilsey and Stuart Meyer have the resources and the experience. Wilsey, Meyer, Eatman, Tate in Oklahoma City and Tulsa.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett and Kent Myers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
Today we're really pleased to have David Thomas join us on the show. We have not had David on before, and we're just thrilled that he'd agree to break a busy schedule and come in and visit with us. David grew up a number of places around the globe with his missionary parents, but graduated from Putnam City High School here in Oklahoma City and lives out in the Piedmont area now. He, for 10 years, was an entertainment producer for Six Flags and for all their parks around the country. He's a magician and an illusionist. He's been doing that since his early 20s, not 1920s, but his 20s. He has worked with DC Comics and Time Warner on productions. He spends most of his time now doing shows for corporate events, including cruise ships, casinos, theme parks, and the like. We're really pleased he'd join us and talk to us about what he does. We thought it was interesting, and we always bring you interesting things, and this is a little different, and we're thrilled to have him.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
All right, how did you get on the road to being an illusionist?
being a Putnam City wrestler, and then now you're an illusionist.
Well, it started at about the age of 8. There was a television magician, Mark Wilson, who was one of the pioneers in magic on television. He was out of the Dallas area, but he did a national way before Copperfield and Doug Henning. And I saw him do a trick, and I now know it as the dot card. Well, it made a real impression on me. Well, skip forward till I was 17. I walked in a magic shop called Magic and Costume Shop, which was called Heckler's here in Oklahoma City.
I remember that.
And I walked in, and for some reason, I can't remember why, and there was a gentleman behind the counter doing that trick. Well, it just kind of stopped me, and I said, "How do you do that?" And he said, "Well, you can buy it for $7.50." so I did, $7.50, and then I applied there, started working and demonstrating magic behind the counter, and of course, like all businesses, it just grew until I'm doing what I'm doing now, which is major illusions.
And you're an entertainer?
Absolutely.
And can you, I know we got a videotape. Why don't you set up the videotape that'll kind of let our audience see you in action? What are they going to see here?
Well, this is a clip of many of my different illusions that I do. I'm known as an illusionist in the craft. A magician's kind of the general term, but there's close-up workers and then there's platform workers. And illusionist is one that does the type of things that David Copperfield you'd see on television do, the big major illusions. And I think it's pretty self-explanatory once you see it.
All right. This is David Thomas, the illusionist. Than I would have thought.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
It must take a lot of time and effort to set up the illusion.
Yes and no. We were in Branson. I had my theater in Branson for 5 years. I was at the Sahara in Vegas for a year. And then after that, I decided I didn't really like the day in, day out of shows. So I started going toward the corporate market. And we're known in the corporate market as the act that can go into the ballroom and get in and get out quickly. There are some great acts in the world, illusionists, but most of them are in casinos and they're in showrooms where they do a show at night after night. We have to load in the morning of the show, be ready by noon, and go into VIP rehearsals. We specialize in producing VIPs on either NASCAR or a motorcycle or a stealth fighter jet, which we did for Boeing. And basically, we get in and get out quickly. So, I mean, that's the key to what we do.
How many shows a year do you do, approximately?
Well, I do 2 to 3 high-profile shows around the country per month. Most of the time I'm here in Oklahoma, my wife and my kids, and when we do go, we fly out usually the day before the show. The props are trucked, and the morning of the show we set up and we're there till midnight that night, and then the next day we come home. So really we're home most of the time.
Yeah, you must get asked over and over again, how'd you do that? So what is your answer when people want you to divulge your secrets or your talents?
Well, I usually say pretty well, but I need to work on that's the first thing when they say it. Or I can tell you, but I'd have to kill you. So there's several lines. We magicians tend to, though, not reveal our secrets. The minute I found out how the dot card works, I was very disappointed, because magic, if you know how it works, it's like, that's pretty stupid.
Well, and you don't do that many dates in Oklahoma. It sounds like you travel quite a bit.
Well, I don't. I would love to do more dates in Oklahoma. I think my marketing campaign has been more of a regional. For the last few years, I've been performing at opening night, because traditionally New Year's Eve is not a night when corporations have big conventions, obviously. So that's the one time I perform here in the city, and I'll take a big show down to the Cox and always have a wonderful time. And it gives me a place to perform and for friends and family to see what I do.
You know, an athlete has to stay in shape, they have to keep training, they have to practice on their weaknesses, those types of things. So what do you do to maintain the skill level that you've put together for yourself?
Well, the first thing I have is I have a team of people that make my show happen. I mean, on stage, I am the illusionist. And to answer your question, you know, of course, you know, keeping in shape, just working out is an important part of it, but also regular rehearsals, and more importantly, when we do go on site, we will spend the afternoon just as much stage time we have going over and over again, because the team I have been with me for years and years, and all of them are professional dancers. Many of them are dancers that are in shows around the country, and we'll bring them in, so they're once again in shape too. And then I have my team of technicians that allow the thing to happen. So basically, it's a matter of us all keeping in performing shape. But really, the day of the show, we just get after it and make sure that evening's going to be perfect.
Okay, I got to ask you this. Has there ever been a time when the trick just didn't work?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You pulled the curtain and they were still there.
Yeah, the problem with illusions is, unlike if I was going to do a sleight of hand trick for you, I have total control. But when you're doing an illusion show, you've got mechanics involved, you've got other people involved. So because of that, you know, there's always that danger. Now, most of the time, because of proper planning and people who know what they're doing and having a great team and the rehearsal process, it usually doesn't go wrong. But I remember I produced the World's Greatest Magic Tour. There's a television show years ago on television called World's Greatest Magicians. And I co-produced with Dick Feeney out of Las Vegas, the national touring production, and I serve as the illusionist. And then there's 7 or 8 other magicians, a bird magician, a comedy magician, so on and so forth. I remember I was doing the floating lady trick, and I'm not going to reveal the secret, but there is mechanics involved, and it didn't work.
She didn't float.
And this was she didn't float. And this was in Detroit, Michigan, in one of the largest theaters, about 3,000 people in the audience. So knowing that I had a wonderful team, I just walked forward, and I knew it was a 50-50 chance. Either they're going to fix it or they weren't. But you just walk forward and you say, folks, we had a mistake. You smile. Audiences don't mind as long as you don't. The old saying, don't ever let them see you sweat.
Yeah.
And then, frankly, they got it working. We did it, and I now think I want to mess up every time because I got a better reaction. It's kind of like the juggler dropping the ball.
Well, they knew it wasn't easy when you weren't able to pull it off.
Yeah, so things
kind of
happen.
Raise the element of your craft.
Mm-hmm.
All right. David Thomas is our guest. He's an illusionist, lives here in Oklahoma, travels the world performing his artistry. And when he comes back, he's going to actually perform at least a couple of things right here on this stage. So we'll be back after this.
The thing that has made the most sense for me is realizing that I am still an educator, and that is what I do at the Chickasaw Nation. I'm Dr. Amanda Cobb-Greetham. I'm a historian, and I'm Chickasaw. The Chickasaw Cultural Center is amazing. It is a very, very special place devoted to the sharing and to the celebration of Chickasaw history and culture. state-of-the-art technology, exhibits that are not like anything I've ever seen. The Spirit Forest is incredible, and you feel as if you have actually just walked into a forest with huge trees all around you. It's timeless, and yet it's sort of also representative of our time depth, to really just sort of reach through time and touch the past. By the end of the exhibits, you really have a sense of Chickasaw cultural and political resurgence, and the extent to which we are a healthy, dynamic, and vital tribe today. Chickasaws have always been an inclusive people. This is something for the whole community and for the state of Oklahoma.
I don't want to hope for the best. I want to become it.
I want you to see my potential.
Because I can be more than average. I can be amazing.
Because I know the hard way
and the right way
are one and the same.
I will make you proud.
And surpass even my own expectations.
I will lead.
I will lead.
I will lead America's energy future.
Oklahoma's oil and natural gas industry. Proud to equip Oklahoma students for greatness.
When you have something important to communicate, it becomes clear that there's a lot of competition for your audience's attention. So how can your message stand out and actually resonate with your audience? Legal Graphics has the answers. The team at Legal Graphics will work with you to plan, design, and even test your presentation to ensure your message will be heard and remembered. Call Legal Graphics today to schedule an appointment. The readiness is all.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett, Kent Myers, and our guest illusionist David Thomas. And this is something a little bit different on The Verdict. David's actually going to perform some magic right here on the table that normally serves as part of our set. So take it over.
Well, I'd love to. This is a classic of magic. My dad was an amateur magician of such and was always taking me to magic shows. And this is a trick that traveling magicians did from city to city and town to town years ago. A trick called the passe-passe bottles. Now, the idea of the effect is very simple. To try to make a bottle and a glass change places. Now, to do it correctly, I use two tubes. Tube number one goes over the glass. Tube number, sorry, too many bottles. Tube number two goes over the bottle. Now, here is a glass, here is a bottle. Now, if I snap my fingers, the glass comes over here and the bottle over here. But the hard part is to make them switch back. Thank you so much. I don't think you bought it, Nick. All right, we'll do it the hard way. Watch this. That's it. There we go. Now remember, tube number two goes over the bottle. Tube number, too many bottles. Goes over the glass, which becomes a bottle, and of course the bottle becomes a glass. Look, here's a bottle. Too many bottles. Here is a glass, which becomes a bottle, and of course the bottle becomes a glass. Now today, I am going to try to attempt to do this feat using one tube only. Impossible. Here is a glass, which becomes a bottle, and of course the bottle becomes a glass. But to do that, I've got to have another bottle. Here is a glass, which becomes a bottle, and of course the bottle becomes a glass. But to do that, I've got to have another stupid bottle. Now, whenever I do this trick, I always try to use a bottle. Sometimes I use another bottle, sometimes I use a third bottle, but most of the time when I do this trick, I always try to use two glasses. Oh, there's another one. Right. Now, whenever you see two glasses, you always hear the word cheers. So cheers, everyone, and that's the end of the trick. There we go.
Wow, very good, wonderful.
To the side. That was a fun trick. Anyway.
No, your secret is safe with me.
Yeah, me too.
Because I didn't figure it out.
No idea you did that. That is remarkable.
That is.
Thank you.
Okay. And now you've got a deck of cards here. I'm thinking you're not going to play pinochle.
Sure. Let me show you this.
Okay.
I got really excited. I went to Walmart to buy a deck of cards. Now, most people would not get excited about this, but
Make sure the photographer, the cameraman can get. Can you see the deck of cards there? Is that in a good place for you?
Here we go.
They can get settled there as you go ahead and talk about card tricks in general.
Okay. Well, would you like me to stand up? Would that be better? I can do that.
Whatever you know. Why don't you just do it right there? I think he's got it. I think he's got it there.
All right, perfect. This is I got excited when I went to Walmart. I bought a deck of cards, and they mistakenly had not printed the cards yet. And
so they're all blank.
Yeah, I mean, magicians are the only ones that get excited about this. But I found out a trick. I'll show you. If I think of a card, let's say, for example, the six of spades, it appears inside the deck.
Wow.
Of course, if I don't keep my mind on the card, it completely disappears. Now, I can think of any card I want. I can think of the jack of spades. I can think of the eight of hearts. I can think any card I want to think of appears inside the deck. Of course, if I don't keep my mind on the card, I'll show you, it disappears. Yeah. Now, Mick, do me a favor. Think of a card, any card you like.
Okay.
You got it? Now, do you want to change your mind?
No.
Or do you want to keep the mind you have?
I want to keep the mind I have.
All right, perfect. You got your card?
I got my card.
Was that it?
No.
Darn. What was your card?
Five of hearts.
Well, close.
Yeah, you were
well,
close.
Listen, I think what happened is you thought of every card in the deck. You see, every single card is inside the deck except of course the five of hearts. Now you know what happens if I don't keep my mind on the card, don't you? Look.
They're all gone again.
So that's the trick.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. We're going to have you back every week.
It would be fun.
It's much more interesting than our normal show.
I'd love to.
What kind of reaction do you get around town when you have to fill out some paperwork and they go, "What do you do?" and you say, "I'm an illusionist."
Well, yeah. What? Now, illusionists were always practical jokers, so I'm always doing practical tricks. You know, I don't have my wallet, I forgot it, and then I'll pull it out of their ear or something. But we can always do that.
What's the largest object you've ever caused to disappear?
That would be the stealth fighter jet. So that'd probably be the largest. That was a very special show for Boeing and Lockheed. That was doing kind of a joint convention thing years and years ago. But we do a lot of things like motorcycles and NASCARs, as you saw in the video.
Is television easier than on stage, or vice versa? When the call comes, and what are you hoping it is?
I love live performing. I do very little television. There are magicians that specialize in that. David Blaine, I guess Chris Angel, David Copperfield. The nicest thing about television is the fact that you can really control the eye of the camera. So even though you're not doing television tricks, sometimes you can do things that are miracles because you're performing from one certain angle. So.
You performed full-time in Vegas for a while. What's that lifestyle like?
Well, once again, it was 2 shows a day, and I found myself not really enjoying that a lot. A lot of magicians, they want to, of course, we were at the Sahara, and it was not one of the bigger, casinos there. But I found in Vegas and in Branson that the audiences were just wonderful no matter where I go. So giving that corporate audience the ability to see our show without having it 2 times a day is just a wonderful experience, and also allows me to be with my family.
Now, if some of our audience wants to book a show with you, we're going to give your website in the 4th segment of this show. But getting on that website, they'll get you personally, will they not?
Just go to the website, davidthomasmagic.com, and there's a contact page. It'll go to me directly, and I'll contact you with the different things available.
One final question in 30 seconds that we have left. If someone wanted to start, some youngster wanted to start, like me, to become a magician, how would they do it?
Well, magicians, although they're very secretive, we understand the importance of teaching our craft. If a young person shows an interest, there is a club here in town called the Oklahoma City Magic Club. It meets on the first Monday of every month. There's a series of magicians from amateurs to professionals that are there, and they're welcome with open arms as long as they really want to learn. And then of course the internet, you can buy tricks, you can buy DVDs now, so it's very accessible.
All right, David Thomas, our guest. He lives in Oklahoma City but performs worldwide, performing illusion and tricks of magic. Thanks very much for coming on The Verdict.
Well, thank you very much.
David,
Thanks for having me.
much.
Kent and I'll try to follow this act when we get back with a final word.
I won't be here.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. a place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
In Oklahoma, we enjoy a high quality of life due to good, well-paying jobs. Commercial real estate professionals play a significant role in bringing new businesses and investments to Oklahoma. The commercial real estate community has come together to market Oklahoma's commercial properties nationwide through a free public website, okcommercialproperty.com. We are invested in keeping Oklahoma strong and growing because economic development ensures quality of life.
You will always be Mom and Dad to me.
We are a very conservative family, and we believe in old-fashioned family values. We have a loving home there, and we love kids, and we have 5, 6 of our own. But I had no idea we were going to go into adoption, but it's been very gratifying.
You will always be Mom and Dad to me.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information. And for almost 30 years, Oklahoma political, government, and business leaders have turned to the McCarville Report for accurate, reliable, inside information. Visit the McCarville Report online.
Welcome back on The Verdict. We are wrapping up a show with the illusionist David Thomas. Kent is still here. We thought he might disappear.
They keep trying to get rid of me, but I keep coming back.
David Thomas is a wonderful illusionist, and you can get more information about him or book him for an upcoming event if you'd like. I'm sure he would appreciate the local attention because he is known all over the world as one of the best there is. And his website is davidthomasmagic.com. That's davidthomasmagic.com. We have a website too. It's theverdict.tv. You can log on to that site and tell us about a guest or a topic you'd like to see discussed. For Kent Myers, I'm Mick Cornett. We'll see you next week right here on another edition of The Verdict. See you later.
The preceding program was produced exclusively for the Cox Channel.